I'm Pete Boyle.
Hey, I'm Bex.
Welcome to Red Square Live, the United fan show for Reds everywhere. Right, each week, of course, we'll be talking to a former United great, waxing lyrical about the match today and about past glories.
Yeah, that's right. Now, all week you have been sending in your questions via social media, so thank you very much for that. I will be putting them to our United guest and to Pete in today's show. Alongside that, we've got our lovely studio audience that are here. Yay. So there we go. So I am going to be going out into them and getting their questions too. Now, alongside that, we've also got competition time. Now, this is one not to be missed. So for your chance to win 2 tickets to United's next home game against Chelsea, all you got to do is stay tuned to find out how you can win them later in today's show. Pete.
Thanks, I might enter that one myself. Anyway, as usual, we're going to go out there to see the public today and see what they think of our special former United great. So, take it away.
So today in Red Square we have Lee Martin. Lee Martin's a local lad, he's from Hyde, he joined the club in 1988 from Fergie's youth system. He also played 32 of 38 league games and appeared in 2 FA Cup finals.
May 1990, 24 years ago, Wembley, fantastic cup final, United were hanging on for dear life. Replay on the Wednesday, hero of the night, Lee Martin.
Oh, he's a legend, isn't he? From scoring the winner in the cup final replay.
I remember Neil Webb chipped the ball over the top, on his chest, bang, top corner.
Remember it as a kid growing up, Cole, so it was a big deal for us. Big red hero.
Hero for many years because it was Ferguson's first trophy. He came good that night and so did Fergie. Local lad, done well, and he's here today, yeah?
Put your hands together for Lee Martin, please. Hi Lee, how you doing, mate? Sit yourself down. Welcome to Red Square Live.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was a bit better today, but I wanted to start off with David De Gea. I mean, he had some critics at the start, didn't he? You know, people were saying dodgy keeper syndrome and all that, but what about today?
He's had a lot of critics, hasn't he? And people were talking about, you know, he needs to fill out a bit, he needs to put a bit of weight on, but he was brilliant today. Some of the saves he made, and he kept us in the game, and probably won us the game at the end of the day, but great performance from him. Some world-class saves, and you know, people talk about Schmeichel being one of the great keepers we've had, but that certainly matched it today.
It was one of the, like, you know, you do think about standout performances from keepers. You know, Schmeichel made many great sort of performances. I remember this sort of game against Newcastle when Cantona scored, when we were under the caution. Schmeichel was outstanding. I mean, okay, not getting carried away about today, but De Gea today, some of the pinpoint saves he made. I mean, and he seemed to. It means so much to him because at the end you could see he was like a little kid, wasn't he? Like, you know, he was celebrating at the end, and the Stretford was singing his name.
He was happy with it. He was happy with his performance, and that showed today. I mean, you know, there was balls going through bodies, and he was getting down on the floor to save things, and balls going into the top corner. He was flying to save them. He was just brilliant today. It was probably the best performance we've seen him in a Man United shirt. You know, even from last year, played ever so well last year, but I think today, you know, he stood up and he was counted today, and I think he won us a game today. I mean,
we paid quite a lot for him as a sort of almost a rookie keeper, but do you think that's credit to the United scouts at the time and Sir Alex for like seeing the potential in him? Because you know, we you know, let's be honest, we've been unlucky with keepers apart from Schmeichel and Van der Sar. We've had a few, but haven't quite fit the bill. You know, big money like for Taibbi, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to buy him for that much money, he comes under scrutiny because he's at the biggest club in the world, and really, they obviously see potential in him, didn't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's Sir Alex, isn't it? I mean, he's done that, you know, from first coming into United with a lot of players, but he saw potential in De Gea, brought him into the club, he's worked with the goalkeeping coaches, and he looks every part of a Man United player now. But like you said before, taking a lot of stick over the last 18 months, some of it deservedly so, some of it not. But you're going to get that as a Man United player, whether you like it or not. And I think, like I said today, I think he became a man today and stood up and was counted.
Well, obviously the defence is the bit that's been under scrutiny because it's obvious to everyone. You know, we do need strengthening and we look weak there. But having like a young lad like Pat McNair in there today again, how important is it as a defender, former defender yourself, to have someone you can trust at the back? Because if every time the ball's going back, if you think I'm not too sure he's going to get rid of this one, but someone on that sort of confidence, that must breed from the back.
Yeah, well, it was. Yeah, I mean, because I played. You know, Schmeichel was behind me and he was barking out instructions and roaring at you, and you were a little bit intimidated by that, but you know, it was good. You knew he was there. You knew you were reassured that if the ball was over your head, he was there on the edge of the box to clean it up. And you know, David De Gea is going to learn that. He'll get louder, he'll get more vocal as he gets more experience. But yeah, I mean, the back four today, you look at, you know, like you said, Paddy McNair, he's done absolutely brilliant. He's come in, a couple of games. Nobody knew what to expect really, coming from the under-21s, 19-year-old lad. of pressure on him really, coming into a team where, you know, we've had a lot of stick for the first 5-6 weeks of the season. It'd be difficult for him to come into that, but he's been brilliant. And I think
you watch a lot of the sort of like youth games, and that's still a bit more probably I do. But did you see, like, you know, if you would have said in the summer, did you see the likes of Blackett and McNair? Did you think they were good enough to step up to the mark, or is it more a question of like we've needed to use them?
I think it was the time of when it was going to be. We knew. I mean, I speak to Clayton quite a lot, and Clayton does the under-15s, and Clayton said to me before about Blackett and about McNair that there'll be top players. James Wilson's another one who, you know, played a bit of a part today. Clayton said that he'll be worth 40 million in, you know, 3 or 4 years' time. You can see it. You can see they've all bedded in really well. Blackett's done well, looks confident. McNair's come into the team now. He looks like he's been there 10 years, you know, and not just off those 2 performances. And James Wilson looks like he's going to be a real world beater. I
mean, obviously, defensively has been under so much scrutiny for obvious reasons, but is it as simple as, like, you know, to lose 2 sort of like natural born leaders like Ferdinand and Vidic? I mean, that was a bit of a blow. You don't lose both at once, do you? I mean,
absolutely no. I mean, they've been the rock for us, haven't they? They were like the Bruce and Pallister in my day, and to lose 2 experienced players like that. But then again, you look at it. You look at Johnny Evans has been there for 6 or 7 seasons now in the first team. He's played Champions League games. He's played everywhere. He's got the experience now where he's got to, you know, push on. He's got to be the experienced player. You know, it's a young back 4 now, isn't it? You look at Shaw's a young lad, Raphael's still a young lad, got experience but still young. Jones, Smalling, you know, they're all a youngish back 4 with nobody with that real experience that's been there, you know, for 10 years. That we probably do need somebody like that to come to the club.
I mean, is anyone particularly you would think out there in the market you would say could come in and be like our new rock, or?
The lad at Bayern Munich always springs to mind. I can't think of his name now. You'll come up with it in a minute, but I always think the lad at Bayern Munich's real top quality. Dante, right. I like him, and I think he's a real top player. And I think somebody like him who's played in Champions League finals and, you know, good international player would be somebody I would look at to come and bring in. But they're not available, are they? They're playing Champions League. He's at Bayern Munich. Would he want to come to Man United? I don't know.
What about Luke Shaw? I mean, Luke Shaw's obviously had a lot of you know, been in the spotlight for, you know, being trained on his own. He looked a bit unfit in some of the pictures you believe in the papers. I mean, you know, he played today and he obviously gave away a penalty and he came off in the end. But how do you rate him bedded in? I mean, is it important he starts to play no matter how he plays at the start?
I like him, Boyle. I really do. I like him. I think he's going to be a real top player for us. It's difficult. He's come from Southampton to the biggest club in the world, and that brings the pressure with it. And I feel for him a little bit because the scrutiny is on him. He's had a little bit of stick about his, you know, his fitness and what have you. But that's a storm in a teacup for me. That I wouldn't even worry about that if I was him. I think he's a real top quality player. He's great going forward. A bit unlucky with the goal, with a penalty today, I thought, because I'm stood in the south stand, and I thought he got the ball. I haven't seen the replay yet, but I'm sure you'll show me at some stage. But I think he's a real top player for us. I really like him. Really like him.
A point you touched on a minute ago was about Johnny Evans, because Johnny Evans, when the team's not doing well, Johnny Evans has been a bit of a scapegoat for many amongst the fanzines and all that. But I mean, I personally thought after the horrible game against City a few years ago, we won't mention, when Johnny obviously, you know, didn't have a great game, I thought he pushed on, into usual terms, and he's had a good couple of seasons. Yeah. However, let's be honest, you know, he won't like me saying he's not had the best of seasons so far. But I mean, you know, it's up to him to step up to the mantle, and he's got the ability.
Yeah, I mean, he had the injury, and I saw him in the summer in the airport, and he was saying he's looking forward to getting back fit. But yeah, I mean, probably for the last 2 seasons, he's probably been one of our most consistent players. New managers come in, you know, they have different ways of playing, and it doesn't suit some people. And obviously Johnny's had his injury early season. It's taken him a bit of time to get fit now. But I would expect him to go into that side and be the real dominant figure in there with the young lads around him.
And what about Chris Smalling? Because I mean, with Evans and Smalling, to a lot of fans, it's more like, it does seem like a confidence thing. Some people have made out their ability, but they both seem to be like low on confidence. I mean, and you know, and get, you know, the recent performances don't obviously sort of like, you know, thrill everyone and give the confidence back. But I mean, do you have confidence in both their abilities to get back and
absolutely, places? Yeah. The top players And, you know, Sir Alex wouldn't have put them in the team if they weren't top players. And you can see that. I mean, I think Smalling's last couple of England performances have been brilliant. And I think that's a real bonus for us. Jones is going to be a top player for us as well. But Smalling's one that plays on confidence. And when he's playing well, he's a real top player.
And where would you play Jones? I mean, would you play Jones? Because this is what it's an interesting point for me.
You see, the problem is if Louis is going to play this back three, which we've sort of like gone away from, I would have Jones, and going off recent form, I'd have to play McNair in there as a back two, and then have Shaw and either Raphael or Valencia at right back or whoever it might be there. But you've got options. Once everybody's fit, you've got options with Blackett to play there, Rojo, Chris Smalling as well, who I think is a centre half. He's played at right back, but I think he's a centre half for me. So you've got 5 or 6 players there. When everybody's fit, you've got real good options. I think when United are winning games, those lads can go in there and they'll perform and play well. It's when we're not winning games like we have done at the start of the season. It's been difficult for these young lads to go in and really play well.
That's great. Have you got anything for us, Bex?
Yeah, okay. I am out here in our studio audience. I made a new friend. This is Nighty. Stand up, Nighty. Stand up. All right, I believe you got a question.
I know we already covered it about De Gea. Well performance today. Just want to say, do you think he's a bit frightened of the back three you got in front of him? That's why he's so insecure about his position, and that's why he get criticised in the past for not being a big keeper like the Great Dane, Schmeichel, and Van der Sar. Yeah,
I don't think he's frightened of what he's got in front of him. I think the problem's been over the last probably 18 months that we've not really had a settled back. We're not really had a settled back four, have we? That's been the problem, and probably for De Gea, who's going to play week in, week out, he probably doesn't know who's going to play in the back four, and it's probably the same now. I would think for the next game in 2 weeks' time, we probably don't know what the back four is going to be or whether it's going to be a back five. So that's probably his worry. But I think he's looking more confident. Every game that's played, he looks more and more confident for me. And like you said today, he was just brilliant, wasn't he? Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you. Any more, Bex?
Yeah, okay. I've come right to the back of our studio audience today. Stand up for me, Curtis. Do you believe you've got a question to put to Peter Lee?
Just about the defence, just asking if you think he's good enough to get into the top four.
Do I think he's good enough to get into the top?
At the moment, the team we've got.
Into the top four?
Yeah.
Good question, yeah. I always think we're good enough to get into the top four. I think, it's proved today we've come up against a good Everton side. I mean, Lukaku's a handful for any centre-back, for John Terry or any experienced centre-back there. And you look how McNair and Rojo played against him today, it didn't really cause any problems for them. There was once where he got in behind in the first half and put a shot over the bar, but it was the only time in the game where he caused any real problems. So from that point of view, I think we'll finish top four anyway. I mean, I'm not worried about that. Even without that sort of like real dominant, experienced defence, I think we're okay.
Thanks, Bex. Anything else?
Good. Anyone else got any questions they want to ask? Raise your hand if you do. Do you have one over here, sir? Okay. Absolutely. Please stand up for me. Let's just move over here a little bit so we can actually see you behind that pillar. Yeah, there you go. Okay, away you go, sir.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about Rooney's performance as a captain, but I think he's been fantastic. And a lot of people saying De Gea should have been stepping in his absence. But Daley Blinn's performance week in, week out has been phenomenal. And as a future captain, I think he's got all the credits. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think Danny Blinn's been brilliant, hasn't he? And I think everybody's been really surprised. He doesn't give the ball away at all, does he? And he can thread balls through to the strikers, put balls over the top. I don't know what you think, Pete, but I've been really pleasantly surprised with his quality that he's brought to the side. And talking about him being a future captain, yeah, I could see that. I could quite easily see that.
It's quite an accolade, isn't it? That says a lot, really.
It's brilliant. That's off the back of 5 games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he's probably been one of our most consistent performers. Even though we haven't had a great start. The Swansea game and what have you. He played well in that, and you
completely agree. Yeah.
You can't knock that. So he's done. Yeah, I agree. I think he's done brilliant.
Okay, Bex.
All right, we are going to take it to a short break. But before we do, competition time. Now, what's a competition any United fans dream? So the prize this week is 2 tickets to United's next home game against Chelsea at the end of October. So to be in with a chance, all you need to do is go over to the Red Square Facebook page, find the post relating to that game, click like and share. So make sure you enter and good luck. Now, do come back after the break when I will be moving on to the couch with Pete and Lee and putting your questions from social media. We'll see you in a sec.
Welcome back to Red Square Live, where Bex's joined me on this sofa here, and we're chatting, of course, to United legend Lee Martin. Well, Lee, he scored today. He didn't go through the Gary Birtles, Diego Forlan syndrome quite, did he? Eh? So, how important was that for a player to big price tag around him, even he's on loan, but massive player, scored a goal.
It was brilliant for him, wasn't it? And everybody was, was willing him on to score a goal last week, this week, and the longer it goes on for a player, you're thinking, is he going to get one? Is he going to get one? The chances are there, but he's not quite taking it. But when he got the one today, good finish as well. To be fair, but you could see the crowd, the whole place erupted, and everybody ran into the corner to jump on top of him. And it was just brilliant. The atmosphere at Old Trafford today for that goal was probably as good as I've seen.
But come on, as a former player, right? Was that a good assist or was that a wild shot by Di Maria that went on to?
That's a great assist, wasn't it? It was a wild assist, should we say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one when Cantona had one against Forest a few years ago in the 5-0 game we won the league in '96, and Cantona did the most shocking shot that went wide.
Yeah.
And Beckham headed it into the net.
Got to the end of it, yeah.
Great assist.
Well, go on.
But no, I'm just saying, on that basis, was it almost helped by Rooney's unfortunate absence today that he could play Mata and start with Falcao? I mean, that sort of helped the team formation, didn't it?
Yeah.
The selection form, anyway.
I think Falcao would have probably played anyway, but Mata came in today, and I thought Mata did ever so well, looked sharp, and had a really good game. But the onus was on Falcao. I tell you what though, he's neat and tidy. His touch on the ball when the ball goes into him is fantastic. Great touch, but like I said, everybody was willing him to score, and it was nice for him to get that one today.
When we got back here after the game, they showed a brief clip of the highlights, and what I really liked was he was biting his nails towards injury time. I thought, he's not been out long. We know, footballers are a bit distant from loads there, but he was biting his nails like he really wanted that victory. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, well, we all were, weren't we?
Yeah, of course we were. Yeah, you was after 5 minutes.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
All right, we do have lots of questions from social media this week, so thank you very much if you have sent them in. We do appreciate them. Interesting stuff, actually. Miles Bannister has actually agreed with what you talk about Falcao just then. Do you think he'll now find his form? Do you think the floodgates have now opened?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was the starting for him, really. I mean, now he's got one, I think he'll go on. That'll do his confidence a world of good. All goal scorers will tell you, once they get the goals, they just keep flowing, and they go through a lot of they all go through barren patches. But 4 or 5 games for Falcao, and he gets the one today. He'll probably score now, hopefully, for the big game against Chelsea coming up. That's what we needed. We need for him to be in top form, and everybody else as well. Yeah,
definitely. Interesting points are coming up. Valencia, Januzaj. Now, obviously, Valencia is getting the starts over Januzaj. Some people are thinking that maybe Valencia's had his day at United and Januzaj's the future, and yet he's still getting played second under Valencia. So, I mean, do you think that in terms of moving United forward for the future, he needs to start getting some starts?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I thought Valencia was fabulous today. And I spoke to a few people coming out the ground on the way across here, and I was saying, I thought Valencia did really well today, and they were saying, I'm not sure, I don't think he did okay. But I thought I'd been watching a different game, so I thought he got up and down the pitch, and Valencia helps the defence as well. He gets back and helps. I think the problem this year for the likes of Januzaj is that we're not in Europe, we're obviously out the Carling Cup, so there's not as many games, and you've still got the same size squad. I think, last year, if we'd have been in the Champions League this year, he'd have probably got more opportunities. I think he is one for the future, and I think he is a real top player. Whether he's going to get the opportunities this year, I'm not too sure.
Will that not sort of stifle him a bit? Because last year, he was seen almost like your Solskjaer type player. You bring him on, he's got a couple in the win at Sunderland and that, and he was almost like one of the bright sort of like spots from the season, which was quite dour for United fans. And now obviously he's got Giggs' shirt. and all of a sudden now like he's down the pecking order. I mean, what will that do for his confidence thing again?
It doesn't do your confidence any good, because when you do actually play in whatever game it is, you've got to perform, and if you don't, you're back out the team again, and that puts a bit more added pressure on the player. You know, I think he's a real top player, but I don't think he'll get the starts. And I think for someone like him, he'll be wanting to start every game. As a young lad, you just want to play. And I don't think he's going to get that this season with the squad we've got, and with the way that Van Gaal has looked to play, you know, the system he's played.
Any more, Bex?
Yeah, we do. Paddy McNair has obviously been given an opportunity due to the amount of injuries that we've had back there. Do you actually think he's proved himself in the last 2 games to be worthy of up there and fighting for a place rather than just being given a shot because somebody else has?
Yeah, I really do. I think he's done absolutely fantastic, and I think you wouldn't want to drop him now for the next game. I know we've got an international break this weekend, but I wouldn't think the manager would want to drop him on those 2 performances. He's a young lad, and sometimes, you know, you've got to take players out of the team and give them a little bit of a rest and then put them back in. But I think if Paddy McNair can get 10, 12, 15 games now, I think that'll be brilliant for him. And I wouldn't, you know, I can't really see him being left out the side, even with the players we've got that are, you know, fighting for that place.
Yeah, definitely.
Really good.
Also, actually, Gary Luffman, thank you very much, asked, so do you think this Galactico route that United seem to be going down, we've got these big players, big money, do you think that is the right way forward for United, or are we, in actual fact, moving away from the United of where youth is the key, and it's sort of homegrown?
I think the game has changed a little bit, hasn't it, over the last 10 years, and, you know, we want success as fans, but as a club and as owners and what have you, you've got to have the success, and I think we've probably neglected the last 3 or 4 years. You know, 1 or 2 big signings, and I think we probably had to buy and spend the 150 million we did in the summer to get the players in, to build the squad up to take us through for the next 5-10 years under if it's Louis Van Gaal or whoever comes in after him. So I think we've had to spend. I like to see young players coming through, and I think it's been great that Paddy's you know, gone in there and done well. And I think if you can introduce 1 or 2, you know, younger players with that experience, you know, it's great for everybody, because as supporters, I think we're all the same. We want to see the young kids coming through and doing well, that, you know, we've put all that time into through the youth system, and you know.
So we just need a balance.
4 or 5 years, a nice balance with a couple of young players in is fantastic.
Obviously, each summer and each transfer window, we get linked with that many players that we need like a double-decker coach to take them all to and from the ground, won't we? But with Di Maria, I mean, he's one that came out of the blue to me, because I don't believe anything I read in the tabloids. I didn't believe Van Persie was joining until I actually seen him holding up my shirt, you know, because we're all over transfer to get linked with. But Di Maria, he's been a revelation so far, hasn't he? He looks like he's really up for it, hasn't he?
He's a real top player, and you can understand what Ronaldo was saying about he's missing Di Maria at Real Madrid. Real top player, and I think the one thing that's changed about our side this year is that when he gets the ball, he'll go and drive forward, or he'll pass the ball forward, he'll flick it into the front men, and it puts you on the attack then, instead of going sideways or back, which I think we did a lot of last year. We've become an attacking team straight away within a couple of seconds. I don't think he's been match fit for the last couple of games. I think today we saw, even 90 minutes, he was running the ball into the corner, and I think you can see his match fitness coming now. And great performance again today, assist and a goal. Just, you know, if he can keeps that up all season, which I think he probably will, he'll certainly justify his price tag.
Probably one that surprised a lot of people today was introduction of Fellaini. I mean, many people probably thought his days were numbered. I mean, and how did you see that? Do you think he's part of the bigger picture, or do you think it was a question of getting him out there, giving him a bit of match experience?
I think Van Gaal will see him as part of the bigger picture. That he's obviously still at the club. He's on the bench today. He's put him on to do a job for the last 15-20 minutes. I think if he's not in the picture, for me, Van Gaal just doesn't have him in the squad. And looks to move him on in January. I think the fact that he's in the squad and he's on the pitch, I think that says that Van Gaal wants him in the squad of 20 players.
Thank you, Lee. We're going to chat more with Lee in a minute, and we're going to chat more with Bex of your questions. But join us after the break when we go down a trip down memory lane with Lee, and all more questions from all you fans everywhere. Thank you.
Right, welcome back to Red Square Live. Now, I am out here in our studio audience, and I will be taking a few questions from them to put to our guest Lee later on in the show. But before that, competition time. Now, for your chance being with winning 2 tickets to United's next home game against Chelsea at the end of October, who wouldn't want to win that? So what you need to do is head over to the Red Square Facebook page, find the post relating to that game, click like and share. So please tell your friends, get entering, and good luck. Pete.
Well, Lee, this is a bit we call memory lane. We like to chat about your career now. Let's roll back the years and playing for United's youth system. You know, you've been here for a bit, and all of a sudden you get your debut. Wimbledon, was it?
Wimbledon, yeah.
So you get your debut, and how did that sort of change your life overnight? Because, tell me how you heard you're going to play that day. When did he tell you?
Well, I mean, even up to that day, I didn't think I was good enough to play for United for starters. But I'd been playing in the reserves, and Sir Alex had, said we're going to put you in the squad for the Wimbledon game. I think there was only 2 games left in the season. I think we were playing Wimbledon and Millwall. So, he'd said we're in the squad anyway. The night he came to the night of the game, and I was on the bench. He said you're on the bench. So there was about 80 minutes gone in the game. He said, right, go and get warmed up. So I managed to get on the pitch, but I got on the pitch and I honestly can't remember what I was doing. I remember the floodlights and the aura of the crowd and everything else, but I can't remember what I actually did. And I remember being on there, but it's just all a big blur to me because I was probably that excited of actually playing. It was only 10 minutes my debut, but I was probably that excited of getting on. It was just a blur. And then I did the same for the last game of Wimbledon, the Millwall game, last game of the season. And then we finished for the summer then. So I didn't really know where I stood. I thought, am I going to get a chance at the start of next season? And the start of the next season, I made my full home debut against QPR, which was incredible.
I mean, for us as fans, long before your Nevilles and your Scholes and your local lads sort of broke through, there was a bit of a sort of gap of local players breaking through. So for you and Billy Garton to play, and before footballers became millionaires after 2 or 3 games playing for United. Is it true that you played for United one game and you catching the bus back into Manchester?
I did, yeah. Well, yeah.
Can you imagine that nowadays?
Yeah, that's not going to happen today, is it? But yeah, I had an Escort Mark II, which I had to park on a hill because it wouldn't start every morning. So I had to jump into the car, push it down the hill, and bump start every morning. And this one time we were playing a game at Old Trafford, and I was trying to start the car. I got to the bottom of the hill and it wouldn't start, still wouldn't start. So I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to get on the train from Hyde into Piccadilly on the bus with my Tesco bag with my boots in, and then off at the top of the road at Loose Chippy, and then walk down to Old Trafford, played the game, back on the bus an hour or so after the game, and back on the train back to Hyde. And it wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen these days. It's they've all got quite nice cars, nice Audis now, and they're a little bit spoilt now. But
was that you bibbing in the Escort on the way up there?
That's mine outside. The brown one.
But moving on, obviously everyone's always going to ask you about that goal, so I want to ask you first. Yeah. That goal he scored at West Ham, 3-1.
Yeah.
That was the other goal he scored, wasn't it?
Well, that was my first goal.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But that one was a deflection off my knee. I think Alvin Martin knocked it onto my knee and it rolled in probably 5 or 10 yards into the goal. And I was given the goal, but I don't really class that as actually scoring a goal, even though I'm down in the record books as 2.
How did it feel like? Because you sort of like your Arthur Albiston was obviously such a long-lasting fullback for United. From his sort of breakthrough, like in the sort of mid-70s. To take over from him was like it's quite an honour in a way. But was that hard? Was it hard? Was Arthur ready to go? Did you feel like you so sure your time was coming?
I wasn't sure really, but Arthur was a fantastic player for us, and played 500 odd games for the club, and was probably one of our most consistent players. But he was getting to the back end of his career, and I had no idea I was anywhere near the first team. And it was probably more of a surprise to me than it was to Arthur. But like you said, I made my debut and I got a good run of games, and had a good few years. In the first team, I was playing in a good side as well, which helped. I think when you're playing with top players, it's a lot easier. I found once I started going down the leagues, down to Bristol Rovers in first and second division, the football got harder then. And I look back to the time in the first team at United, and it was just easy to play with those lads. It was so easy. I
was thinking back to we're talking about leaders in the team and all that, and that season you sort of real breakthrough season. Obviously the year we won the cup, 89-90. it wasn't all sweetness and light, was it? I mean, of course, there was that horrible day in September when we lost at City, and Sir Alex was under a lot of scrutiny himself then. There was talk of Alex might lose his job if we, after that game. There was talk of him, you know, from the newspapers, there was talk we hadn't won at Forest, that he might lose his job. And there was even talk if we'd not won the cup, he might have lost his job. But at any stage, did you see a man who was worried or troubled, or did you always see a determined man who knew he could carry the job?
No, he was never worried about anything. He was never worried or troubled. He was, Sir Alex is a very focused manager, individual or person. I think anything that he's done in his life, he'll focus 100% on it, and we never saw any worry from him, and we never sensed any worry or any problems that he might leave the club. I mean, you obviously read the things that were in the newspapers at the time, and you see the banners that were on the Stretford end that, you know, Fergie out, he's had long enough, 3 years is not long enough. Sorry, it's too long. But you know, you look back on those years now and see how determined he was, and you looked at the players that he was bringing to the club and the squad that he was building, you can see why he was given, you know, that extra bit of time probably. And you know, you go back to the Forest game, people said that if we didn't win that game, Mark Robbins scored and he might have gone that night, but I don't think so. You know, we were all part of the winning the cup that season, and it was probably a weight off everybody's shoulders. I mean, I was a young lad at the time as well, and you don't tend to feel the same pressure that probably some of the older pros were under, and probably the manager deep down. But it was a big weight off everybody's shoulders, and it was, you know, it was the start of everything. You know, winning the league, you know, the year or two after, and then doubles and trebles and everything that came after it was incredible.
Well, building up to that cup run, I mean, obviously the first game will always be remembered for it was a great game against Palace, but I mean, to drop the goalkeeper like he did and put Les Sealey in, I mean, that was a significant, that was a statement, wasn't it? It could have backfired on him, but
it could have done quite
started
easily.
that start the replay when they tried to rough up Sealey and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you feel as teammates of Jim Leighton?
I was gutted for him. I was absolutely gutted because I'd run with Jim for quite a while as well, and you know, he'd been great all season. He'd been a bit, you know, his last couple of performances before the final, you know, they weren't great, and then obviously the Saturday game didn't have a great game, but none of us saw it coming, and we went back down to London on the Wednesday before the Thursday game, and we had a meeting Wednesday night, and we all went into the meeting, and Jim was walking out the other way, and Sir Alex had told him on his own that, you know, he was going to play Les in goal, and I was gutted for him because he's a really nice lad as well. And
was you rooming with him at the time for the
I wasn't rooming it for the cup final, but I had room with him, and you know, got to know him quite well. He's a lovely lad, and you know, you don't wish that on anybody, but you know, Sir Alex has said that was probably the first real big decision that he had to make at Manchester United after, you know, nearly 3 years. And you know, he did that through all his career at United, made some massive decisions that paid off for him, and you can't really argue, because Les came in, had a great game, and played for us for a couple of years after, and did really well.
That's right. I mean, obviously we're moving on to this replay. We can't not talk about it. I mean, your real Roy de Rovers moment. I mean, and let's remember, in those days, you know, the FA Cup's been cheapened a lot nowadays, but the FA Cup was such a massive occasion. It was such a big part of the sporting calendar. End of the year, you knew who won the league, you knew who won the FA Cup. They were the two things, weren't they? So, and at the time, it's such a significant part of United's history, isn't it? Because since the league in 67, the European Cup in 68, it was only the FA Cup wins in 77, you know, 83, 85 and 90 that kept us up there, honours-wise, wasn't it?
Well, we were always a good FA Cup winning side, weren't we? We couldn't really win a league title, but yeah, I mean, the FA Cup back then was probably the biggest game in the world. Everybody watched it, you know. You get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, you watch it all the way through as a kid, and to actually be part of that, to actually walk out at Wembley on an FA Cup final for United was probably the best thing you ever did. And, you know, we talk about scoring the winning goal and what have you, but that's one thing that I remember to this day that, you know, still the hairs stand on the back of your neck when you talk about that, because walking up the tunnel, 80,000 people, it's a lovely Saturday afternoon as well, and it was just amazing, absolutely amazing time in my life.
Does Fergie still like grab hold of your hand when he sees you like
still gives me a rollicking.
Does he still give you a rollicking? Yeah. So you scored a great goal, but you were late back at half time. We're going to go back to Bex for a minute, Lee. Hi, Bex.
Yeah, I am. Lee, meet Lee.
Hi,
Got
Lee,
a question
right?
for you. Stand up
okay.
for me. Perfect. All right, here we go.
My question is, what was your favourite away ground,
And have you got any memorable stories or funny moments that would go with the reason for that being that particular away ground?
My favourite away ground was probably Everton, because Everton was a real good, always a real good atmosphere, and we always took a good number of fans there. And the pitch was quite close to the
quite enclosed, and
quite close to the stands. So it was always a brilliant atmosphere there. I remember going down to play Millwall away down there, and that was just really hostile. And Wimbledon was the same. They were just horrible places to go, really intimidating. And I think as a young lad, I remember going to Wimbledon, and it was Vinnie Jones and Dennis Wise and the crazy gang that they were called in those days. And we used to walk into the dressing room, you could hear the ghetto blaster, you know, as loud as could possibly be, trying to intimidate us. And we went down there, we won a couple of times, so it didn't really work with us. But yeah, those are a few things I remember. But I think Everton was probably my favourite away ground to go and play at. And the pitch was always immaculate as well back then. So, yeah.
Any more, Bex?
Yeah, definitely. All right, Fellaini, if you want to stand up for me. Tell you what, take a step right into that light there. Let's not hide this light under a bushel, shall we? Here we go. What's your question?
Well, it's regarding, similar to what Lee's just asked about away stadiums.
Yeah.
Van der Sar, before he went, he says the Britannia at Stoke was the most intimidating because of the noise, the new building.
Yeah.
What was your most intimidating?
Most intimidating stadium I ever played at was Galatasaray in Turkey, and that was hostile, because I remember the first time we went there, we went into the stadium 3 hours before kick-off, and it was full. And we'd heard rumours that they were throwing golf balls onto the pitch with razor blades. We didn't see all that, but that was all the rumours, trying to intimidate you. But it was a great atmosphere, you know, to be involved in. But it was just very intimidating. And I don't know whether you remember that game, but Cantona got sent off after the final whistle.
He got hit by a cop who were
and we were walking down the tunnel. And Schmeichel was in front of me, and one of the riot police had put a shield and tried to push Pete Schmeichel down the stairs, because you went down the stairs underneath to the dressing rooms, and one of the police tried to hit him with a shield, and Peter just flared up, and Robbo was there, and Pete tried to go back to have a go at this policeman, and Robbo was dragging him down the tunnel, trying to calm him down, and it was just bedlam. And you know, you wouldn't expect that from, you know, the police there. They were riot police. And I'm just stood behind, walking down, thinking, oh my God, what's going on here? As a fairly young player, but you know, that's the sort of thing you're up against in places like that. You know, trying to intimidate you.
But you know, the funny thing about that is that there's only, when you go to Galatasaray or Fenerbahce in grounds like, or Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, there's only 30,000 there, and the noise they make, it's absolutely electric.
Incredible, with the flares and everything else. It's
Greece last year, I actually went in the Olympiacos end in last year, in their end behind the goal. I was probably the oldest by about 15 years in there, but don't agree with that. But the crowd was actually non-stop singing, you know,
they
all
don't
game.
stop,
and there's only 30,000 there. You look at the grounds in this country, a lot more.
Yeah. Great atmosphere over there. And it was great to be involved in that game, and you know, that's one that does really stand out for me.
Well, I think it's almost all the time for Lee. You're going to join us on the sofa, Bex, and tell us what you got for us?
I am. I'm coming back. Lovely, thank you. Just one quick question that I want to put to you. We've had a tweet in from Maisie.
Oh God.
David May.
I'm not answering.
Thank you. How are you, sir, this weekend? He would, simple question.
I wonder what's coming here.
Why does he call you the soap dispenser?
No, I don't think we'll answer that one. I think you better go to the competition, Bex.
It's just my preference on soap, you know. You know,
because he used to shield the ball.
I have my own.
I think we best go to the competition.
I always take a bar of soap for the lads when we're away. So.
All right, Maisie, I'm going to ask you about
Thanks for that, Maisie.
Can't believe Maisie done that.
Good. All right, yes, one last time. Competition. Please. Come on, you must enter this. Who wouldn't want 2 tickets to United's home game against Chelsea at the end of October? For your chance to win these tickets, all you need to do is go over to the Red Square Facebook page, find the post relating to the game and the tickets, and click like and share. So get entering and good luck. Just one more thing from me. A couple of thank yous for S-Doc for the aerial photography and Orphan Boy for the soundtrack to our sequin titles. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you, Bex. I'd like to thank you, the studio audience. I'd like to thank Lee Martin for being a wonderful guest.
Thank you, no problem.
Thank you all for watching Red Square Live. See you next time. Goodbye.